Welcome back to Alpha Male K Reaction, the Ohio rapper who bragged his survival only to be executed on the streets. How I give it to you raw, uncut, straight to your gut with something real, something you can feel. Like and subscribe. Let's get into it and do it.
He fought off an armed robber, took a bullet to the elbow, and watched his girlfriend pull the trigger to save their family. By every measure, BTB Savage should have died that February night in his own apartment. Instead, he walked away and made the decision to tell the world exactly how he survived. But surviving a gunfight is one thing. Surviving the consequences of talking about it publicly was an entirely different battle, one he wouldn't win. This is the tragic story of the Ohio rapper BTB Savage. Before rap ever entered the picture, BTB Savage, born Daryl Gentry, was moving down a completely different path. He was an honor student, the kind of kid people expected to succeed no matter what lane he chose. He also spent 4 years in the military, serving overseas in Korea. And funny enough, it was during that deployment that rap first grabbed his attention. What started as a way to pass time eventually turned into a real passion, and before long, he knew music was what he wanted to chase. His mother, Ward, never saw it coming. When Gentry first told her he had made a song, she was caught completely off guard. In her mind, music wasn't something he had ever seriously talked about before. But what seemed random to everyone else was something he had already committed himself to behind the scenes. Once he made up his mind, he didn't play around. He linked up with engineer Duvin and released his first single, Marilyn Manson. Not long after, he followed it up with Break the Bank. The momentum started building, and eventually he connected with Three Kin. Together, they dropped a mixtape called Scam Party, which pulled in roughly 50,000 views within just 3 weeks. For an independent artist still trying to make a name for himself, that was a major sign that things were moving in the right direction. By early 2023, Gentry decided it was time for an even bigger move. He packed up and relocated to Houston, putting himself closer to his manager and producer. According to his girlfriend, he was completely focused on turning music into a full-time career. Every move he was making was about leveling up. Houston wasn't just a change of scenery, it was supposed to be the next chapter. But just days into February, everything changed. On February 4th,
That's the problem I have with the young YNs. Don't make videos flashing your money, man. You know what I'm saying? Your jewels is enough to send a message. But when you flashing wires of money, people think you holding that in your house, and then they scheming on your plot and try to come get you. You know what I'm saying? So you put yourself in situations that you don't need to be in with clearing the present danger. You know what I'm saying?
2023, San Antonio police rushed to Gentry's downtown apartment after multiple 911 calls reported gunfire. The apartment was home to Gentry, his girlfriend, and their infant child. When officers arrived, the scene was pure chaos. Witnesses described people running through the hallways. The family suffered the same pain they were feeling. His mother became so concerned that she begged him to leave Texas altogether and come stay with her in Las Vegas until things cooled down. For a while, it looked like he might actually do it. He was reportedly making plans to go, but as fate would have it, he never got the chance. On March 30th, 2023, the same day he would lose his life, Daryl Gentry, better known as BTB Savage, made a phone call to his mother that would haunt her forever. Something wasn't sitting right with him. According to his mother, he sounded genuinely scared. He told her that people were trying to set him up and that he believed they were planning to kill him. The fear in his voice was impossible to ignore. In fact, from the way he was talking, It seemed like he was standing right beside the very people he suspected were involved. Sadly, his instincts were dead on. Later that evening at around 6:10 p.m., gunfire erupted near the parking garage entrance of an apartment complex on San Felipe Street near Mid Lane in Houston.
You know, when your spider senses is telling you something like that, me personally, if I get scared, it's a whole lot of people get wet, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm pulling and I'm loosening, you know what I'm saying? The demons coming out because I gotta react first. I gotta be the first, you know what I'm saying? So all that, if you scared, man, either go to church or get a dog. You know what I'm saying? He should have got on his bike and just ran, you know what I'm saying? Got his people up out of there. But you don't keep just riding on, but scared will paralyze you though, and that probably what it did to him. It paralyzed him and made him stay there and not act, and he ended up getting wasted. You know what I'm saying?
When officers arrived, they found Gentry suffering from at least one gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the scene. As investigators began piecing together the attack, they learned that Gentry had been driving a white Mercedes northbound on Mid Lane when a newer model black Subaru SUV pulled alongside him. Without warning, the occupants allegedly opened fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets into the vehicle. Witnesses told police that immediately after the shooting, two suspects sped away in the black SUV at a high rate of speed, disappearing before officers could arrive. As news of the killing spread, the focus quickly shifted toward finding the people responsible.
So evidently it was no robbery attempt. It was somebody that just straight up set him up to get him out the way, which could be either somebody close to him or the people he signed with probably might have had some insurance or something on him or his girlfriend. I mean, you gotta look at the closest people to him that do him like that.
While investigators launched a massive manhunt, Gentry's mother, Bernita Ward, publicly pleaded for those involved to surrender before more lives were destroyed.
That bullshit.
To her, Darryl wasn't just BTB Savage the rapper. He was a veteran, a father, a son, and a man who deeply loved his family. The pain in her voice was impossible to miss as she spoke about losing him in such a brutal way. What hurt even more, she said, was learning that while his body was still lying in the street, people were allegedly stealing from his apartment. Ward never wavered in her belief that her son had acted in self-defense during the robbery weeks earlier. At the same time, she admitted she had repeatedly warned him to stop feeding the drama online. She had urged him to delete the posts, stop doing interviews, and allow the other family space to grieve. But by that point, emotions were already boiling over on both sides. According to Ward, people connected to the deceased robbery suspect had been sending threats for weeks. Some allegedly promised they would kill her son, make her cry, and even target his child. Her advice was always the same: don't respond. But the threats never stopped.
Man, that's another thing. I can't never be the hunted. I'm gonna hunt. If you call and give me a warning, then fuck the rap and all that. You know, I'm coming at you. You know what I'm saying? But number one, he should have moved away from where he was living after he survived that. I would have got up out of there and just, let nobody know where I'm at.
What makes the story even more heartbreaking is that Ward believes the warning signs were there right up until the final hours of her son's life. She recalled receiving that phone call from him earlier that day. The moment he told her he felt like he was being set up, she immediately told him to leave. According to her account, he listened. He went back, picked up two friends, got into his car, and tried to get away. But somewhere along the way, the people hunting him allegedly knew exactly where he was. Ward later claimed that those same friends betrayed him, secretly communicating with the killers and providing live updates about his location, what he was wearing, and the vehicle he was driving. To her, the murder wasn't random. It was retaliation. Looking back on everything that happened, she described it as a cycle of anger and revenge that spiraled completely out of control. Even through her grief, however, she expressed sympathy for the family of the man who died during the robbery attempt. Having now experienced the loss of a child herself, she said she understood the pain they had been carrying. Still, she remained determined to see everyone involved brought to justice. In her eyes, the tragedy was proof that nobody truly won. Two families had lost sons, and both losses left behind pain that could never be undone.
That's why I'm gonna believe in the laws, 48 laws of power, where it says, Lord, protect me from my friends. I can take care of my enemies. Because a friend, they know everything about you, man. And once they bite, it's normally poisonous. You out of here.
As the investigation intensified, an unexpected break came almost immediately. On the morning after Gentry's murder, police in New Braunfels arrested a man named Montrell Burley on an unrelated drug charge. At the time, authorities didn't yet have enough evidence to connect him to the killing. According to those records, Burley rented a black Subaru Outback with Florida license plates from an Avis location in San Antonio 4 days before Gentry was killed. Surveillance footage reportedly captured the vehicle parked outside Burley's residence in New Braunfels. Then, on March 29th, roughly 26 hours before the murder, license plate readers detected the Subaru traveling east along Interstate 10 through Fayette County. Investigators believe that sometime later that evening, the original Florida plates were removed and replaced with plates stolen from a Kia in Harris County. The alleged switch was designed to hide the vehicle's identity, but according to investigators, it ultimately created an even bigger trail of evidence. In fact, those stolen plates were captured on surveillance systems just minutes after the shooting occurred. Authorities believe the suspects then switched the Florida plates back onto the Subaru before beginning the drive towards San Antonio. But by then, technology was already helping investigators retrace nearly every move. License plate readers continued tracking the vehicle, and roughly an hour and 40 minutes after the murder, cameras spotted the SUV traveling westbound on Interstate 10. Meanwhile, cell phone records allegedly placed Burley's phone near BTB Savage's apartment multiple times before the shooting. Investigators say the device spent approximately 4 hours in the area the night before the murder and another 4 hours nearby during the day leading up to the attack.
Super stupid. All these years of crime being committed and results being executed by the FBI and everybody on TV, national TV, you gonna carry a cell phone with you. Lord have mercy.
Taken together, prosecutors believed the digital evidence painted a powerful picture of surveillance and planning long before the first shot was fired. Legal analysts following the case noted that modern investigations rely heavily on technology such as cell phone data, surveillance footage, and automated license plate readers. In this case, authorities appear to have accumulated a substantial amount of digital evidence very early in the investigation, and the trail didn't stop there. Just moments.
I bet you if this super stupid cat who pulled the trigger carried his phone doing all the surveillance and all this and that, I bet he's got evidence of the people who was alerting him to what BTB Savage was driving, what he was wearing and all that. So he's just taking down everybody with him.
Moments after the shooting, license plate readers captured the rented Subaru heading back towards San Antonio. Houston investigators immediately contacted authorities in New Braunfels and asked them to check Burley's listed address. When officers arrived, they found the Subaru sitting right there in the driveway, exactly where investigators expected it to be. By the very next morning, investigators were already moving fast. Authorities had secured a search warrant for the black Subaru they believed was connected to BTB Savage's murder, and officers from the New Braunfels Police Department, along with their SWAT team, headed to execute it. But before they could make their move, something unexpected happened. The Subaru suddenly pulled away from the residence. Police immediately conducted a traffic stop roughly 100 feet from the home. Inside the vehicle, Montre Burley was sitting in the passenger seat while his fiancée was behind the wheel. According to court records, Burley was arrested on the spot on a drug possession charge. Once the vehicle was seized, detectives from both Houston and New Braunfels began interviewing Burley and his fiancée separately, hoping to figure out exactly where he had been during the hours leading up to the murder. Burley came prepared with a story. According to investigators, he claimed he hadn't even been to Houston for about a week. As for the day of the shooting, he said he slept in and that someone else had borrowed the rental vehicle. But when detectives asked the obvious follow-up question, who borrowed it, he refused to answer. Instead, he immediately ended the interview and requested an attorney. His fiancée, Passion James, gave investigators a different version of events. She confirmed that the Subaru was a rental vehicle from Avis that Burley had obtained after being involved in a car accident. However, her timeline didn't match his. While Burley claimed he was home and simply woke up late, James reportedly told investigators that he wasn't at the house for most of the day and didn't return until later that evening. As detectives continued questioning her, more pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. She revealed that Burley had been close to a man named Omar who had been killed earlier that year. Although she claimed she didn't know Omar's last name, investigators already knew exactly who she was talking about. That Omar was Omar Richardson, the same man who had been killed during the attempted robbery at BTB Savage's apartment. Court records later showed that Burley and Richardson weren't biological relatives, but they reportedly considered each other family and referred to one another as brothers.
You know, he got just what he deserved, trying to run in somebody's house and take something, you know what I'm saying? You know, but man, it's sad right here, man.
Then, investigators caught what may have been the biggest break in the entire case. While crime scene technicians processed the Subaru after the traffic stop, a rifle shell casing reportedly fell out from the rear passenger side of the vehicle. That discovery immediately got investigators' attention. After testing, authorities determined the shell casing matched evidence recovered from the River Oaks murder scene. Suddenly, detectives weren't just working with theories anymore. They now had physical evidence allegedly connecting the vehicle directly to the shooting. Even with that breakthrough, prosecutors still needed time to strengthen the case. Investigators spent the next several days reviewing cell phone records, surveillance footage, and vehicle tracking data. Legal experts pointed out that while police may have had strong suspicions early on, they still needed enough evidence to establish probable cause before formally filing murder charges. That evidence eventually came together. According to court documents, investigators confirmed that both Burley's cell phone and the rented Subaru were in the mid-lane area at the exact time BTB Savage was ambushed.
Damn.
The investigation also revealed an extensive level of coordination between law enforcement agencies in Houston, New Braunfels, and San Antonio. As detectives shared information, they uncovered what prosecutors believed was a direct connection between Burley and the earlier robbery attempt that had left Omar Richardson dead. Court filings alleged that Burley and Richardson had deep ties dating back years. Both men were reportedly connected to San Antonio street groups before those affiliations evolved into what investigators described as the Bloodstone Villains, or BSV. Adding even more weight to the case was a statement allegedly provided by Burley's fiancée. According to the probable cause affidavit, she told investigators that Burley had been away from home for most of March 30th. When detectives compared that statement with cell phone records, they were able to create what they believed was a detailed timeline of his movements. And those phone records painted a very specific picture. Investigators determined that on the morning of March 29th, Burley's phone was located in New Braunfels. Later that night, however, the device traveled toward Houston and began appearing near the area where BTB Savage was staying. According to court records, the phone remained in that vicinity throughout much of March 30th. Then came the critical moment. Shortly before the shooting, the device allegedly pinged near the crime scene. Immediately afterward, the phone began moving away from the area. By approximately 11 p.m. that same night, records showed it back near Burley's residence in New Braunfels. To investigators, it looked less like coincidence and more like a roadmap. By April 7th, Houston police officially charged Burley with murder and began publicly seeking his arrest. Just a few days later, on April 11th, authorities announced that he had surrendered and was booked into custody. The court treated the allegations with extreme seriousness. A magistrate judge set Burley's bond at $1 million, say even if he managed to post bail. Strict conditions were put in place, including remaining in Texas and wearing a GPS monitoring device. During the hearing, prosecutors laid out what they believed was the motive behind the killing. According to the state, the murder was retaliation for BTB Savage's involvement in the earlier shooting that left Omar Richardson dead.
You know, he committed an honorable crime, you know what I'm saying, as far as, death before the sun to hold his people down, you know what I'm saying? But he was a real stupid, super stupid cat. And when you have a chick, man, and you out there in the streets, you gotta tell her at all times, listen, anytime the police come to you, just say you don't know nothing and just stay quiet, you know what I'm saying? But he ain't even teach his girl right, you know what I'm saying? And she just told everything and made him look stupid and already was dumb with what he using. Rent a car that got cameras and all kinds of shit, tracking devices in it, and then you carry your phone with you. I mean, yeah, he's a real smart one.
Because of those allegations, prosecutors pushed to keep Burley behind bars pending trial. They argued that the case involved a deadly weapon and pointed out that he was already a convicted felon.
Boom.
The judge also expressed concern over the allegations, particularly the claim that someone had allegedly traveled a significant distance to carry out an act of revenge. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, speculation exploded across social media. Many fans pointed to a controversial Instagram post made by a rapper known as BJ Goddamn. According to online discussions, the post appeared to mock BTB Savage's death before authorities had even officially identified him as the victim. The post was later deleted, but screenshots quickly spread across the internet. Some users also claimed his clothing matched descriptions circulating online, fueling rumors that he may have been involved. However, those claims remained largely internet speculation, and no public evidence directly tied him to the shooting. The theory that gained the most attention centered on Omar Richardson. Many people believed the murder was ultimately connected to the attempted robbery that ended with Richardson's death weeks earlier. That belief only intensified after individuals claiming ties to Richardson's family reportedly took to social media celebrating BTB Savage's death shortly after news broke. By that point, the entire situation had evolved into a tragic cycle of violence, retaliation, and loss. Looking back, what makes the story so heartbreaking is how much potential seemed to be sitting in front of Daryl Gentry. He had survived a deadly home.
Man, it's military upbringing, no matter what what military service he was in. He should have known. Yo, flee, man. If you're scared, you gotta go. But somebody know where you at, man. You gotta get rid of your phone, get rid of your place where you stay, and it's the only one you should let know is your girl, the one who saved you from the first time, and that she was the rider and all that. But once you do that, man, you gotta just cut all connections and just you and her and go and just get new phones, new everything, man, and get up out of Dodge if you ain't the type of nigga that go hunting. But y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think, and like and subscribe. Until the next one. Peace.